Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre. Please give us a subscribe on YouTube. Please give a share, like, and comment. We're also available every Monday on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Amazon. And this week, we go back into the independent film world. We got two fine actors here. We have got Rob Mello, who has been seen in stuff such as Happy Death Day to You in 1883. And we also have actress Rebecca Rinehart, who has also been in movies called Hell and
Caris Hell, yeah.
Cares, say it again.
Caris Hell.
Okay. In Fright Vision. I knew I was going to screw that up. But anyway, guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Sweet. So tell the audience, how did you both get into acting? Sure, go first,
Yeah.
Rob.
We have two very different stories, so Rob can go first.
Go first, whoever wants to go.
I was living in Tampa at the time, working two jobs, and we were stealing from the water bill to pay the power bill, stealing from the power bill to pay rent, stealing from rent. You know, it's a cycle.
Sounds like an episode of Roseanne,
basically. And I had a day off, and locally in Tampa, you know, they got sign spinners, they got all sorts of jobs, you know, you could do part-time. So I'm cruising through Craigslist, and this dude listed that he was looking for actors and background and extras. He's going to pay you $100 and feed you $100 a day. And I'm like, oh yeah, stupid me. I thought it was $100 a day it was like a regular job. And I didn't realize, you know, it's contractual, you know, it will end. And if I had, I probably wouldn't have applied, but I did. He's like, all right, cool. You know, you got any experience? I was like, well, I was in a couple of high school plays. You know, they were really fun. He's like, all right, cool. Send me a headshot, your demo, and your reel if you've got one, and your resume. I'm like, well, I don't really have headshots. I was familiar with that because I'd done a little bit of modeling back in the day. The demo I thought was musical because that's the only context I'd heard, you know, demo in. I was like, I don't have a demo. And so I sent him my regular work, you know, restaurant resume and shit. And he just sent back, he was like, dude, just snap a photo with your phone. You know, we had flip phones. Just snap a photo with your phone, just so I can, you know what you look like, so I can place you. And he was going to place me as like a background or, you know, an extra or something. And he's like, dude, I sent it to him. And he was like, dude, you got to come in and read for me. You got to do a cold read for me. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yep.
And I figured it out, and I went over in the middle of a double at work. And as I left the kitchen, I look at the thermometer. It's 135. Like, fuck me. It's rough when you go in Tampa in the summer. It's rough when you go outside for relief from the heat.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a few blocks away. I walked over. I'm not Catholic, Christian, any shit like that. I'm a pagan. So I looked up. I was just like, dude, I don't know your name. I don't know where you live. I don't know what you look like. But if this is supposed to happen, please let it happen. Because I can't keep doing this shit. You know, I'm breaking my fucking back for peanuts. And I go over. The guy I was supposed to read with was late. Guess who didn't get the part?
Yeah.
And so we went through it, you know, kind of a dry read. And he's like, all right, well, let's go smoke a cigarette and we'll talk. And he explained it, you know, he set it out, the scene. And he's like, all right, how would you react? I was like, I would knock his fucking chiclets down his throat. And he's like, exactly, do that. I'm not 18 no more, dude. It's going to cost you a lot more, you know, than $100 and some pizza to knock some dude's chiclets down his throat. He's like, no, just the energy, if you know what I mean. I was like, all right, yeah, I guess. And he let me be fast and loose with the script. And, you know, didn't have to be word perfect. But yeah, so when I was the character, and I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? And he's like, you know, the guy kind of shrunk back, and dude was like, yay, you know, let's shoot it. And I was like, all right, cool. Yay. So then I went back to work. I don't know what the hell it entailed. And we shot the scenes for the film. I picked up a dead phone. I was a high school guidance counselor. It was my first gig ever.
Nice.
And I was guiding this little child prodigy, little smartass, little motherfucker. Pick up the dead phone, have a conversation with my secretary, talk to this kid, and that's it. One take done, because it's stupid fucking simple. And he was like, dude, you know, you have beverages after you're done shooting. And he's like, dude, you might not, what you did today in one shot, I've seen, you know, SAG actors take like 10 fucking takes. I was like, oh, okay. So he was like, dude, you might not be rich and famous. You might not get your hands and feet outside man's Chinese theater, but you can make a living, and you won't have to bust your ass in 130-degree fucking weather cooking for fat, ungrateful people. So you might want to look into it. I didn't know how, but eventually I figured it out. You know, I went to a class, you know, and I learned it because it was a craft, it's art. And while there, you know, if I don't know what I'm talking about, if I don't know something, I shut the fuck up and pay attention.
Yep.
And I listened to everybody and filtered bullshit as best I could, because I didn't know shit about shit. And scored an agent, got my headshots squared away, got into the local indie scene, you know, started getting footage. And after about 4 years of auditioning, I landed what the fuck is it? Not the Best of Me. That was the first big one I did. It was Badasses on the Bayou with Danny T.
Nice.
Cool as fuck. The only time I was ever starstruck. I mean, I've hung out with Chris Pratt and we bullshit, and Denzel, we didn't really talk much. He's not much of a talker if, you know, he don't know you. But,
More of a guy that stays in his trailer.
Huh?
More of a guy that stays in his trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. It's better than the house we live in. It's bigger too. And that's round about it, man. It was just and people like, how did you do it so that I can do it? I'm like, you're not going to be able to do it the way I did it.
Yeah.
Because I'm me.
The wind blows 100 different ways when you're an actor. I mean, you can't really, you know, you could try to make a plan, but you know.
You know what they say, the men make plans and the gods laugh.
Yep. And for I know, like, personally, I think for the new era of like horror, Happy Death Day to You was like just awesome because it was so freaking different. I just like when there's new people brought in, you know. I just love that. Even the James Wan universe, I love that because it's something new. So could you stop? How did that happen? How did you get that part? Yeah, how did you get that part? Yeah,
it was just a independent horror film, and I got an audition for it. And the problem with it was I was in a bed. I was supposed to be in a bed. And I didn't understand how I could do that standing up. And I talked to my boy, Derek Roberts. He's in New York. Great fucking actor and a better dude. And he was just like, just make like the wall is the bed. And then just snap up. I was supposed to fucking kill the security guy and then shoot at old girl or snatch her up, and, you know.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's it. It was independent. And then, like, when we were done with principal photography in the spring, about a month later, cruising through like Variety and Hollywood Reporter, and, you know, it said we got picked up by Universal. I'm like, nice, residuals.
Yeah.
Then we got picked up by Blumhouse, and I was like,
yeah. I mean, he's the it guy now. Yeah, definitely out there. Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, I didn't realize that that's what it was. I thought that was straight up, you know, they built it from the ground up, but okay, that's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, congratulations on both of those films.
Thank you, brother.
Right. So Rebecca, what's your background? How did this all start for you?
So it was no accident for me. So it's the opposite way, babe.
Oh, Goofy Foot.
Yeah. I've been a horror fan pretty much my whole life, and I've always been drawn to low budget horror. And I started in 2018. I had like the magical thing of like, oh, I got divorced and, you know, the whole story. And like, I could start my life and do the things I want to do. Yay. And so I started doing podcasting. That's where I began in the horror realm. And then I started doing YouTube, and I started talking to independent filmmakers. Like I would go to conventions and I would do interviews for the podcast and YouTube. And like eventually one of them was like, hey, you know, come on, let's just have you in my movie. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know. So it just kind of started with that. Like I didn't do a lot of auditioning or anything. It's just these people who knew me and liked me and knew I had kind of a presence in indie horror. They just started throwing me in their movies, and that's how I started acting. But it didn't take me long to realize, talking to these independent filmmakers, like, you know, I could do that. So I think it was pretty much mid 2019. Got the idea for a movie called The Embalmers. Long story made short, I was producing another movie that fell through, and I took all of that energy and momentum that I had with that movie, and I put it into basically a script that my sister and I had been working on. And we had him cast for the other movie. He had just messaged me. He's like, hey, this other movie looks really cool. Cast me, whatever. And when that fell through, I was like, okay, just stick with me. Okay, I'll have a movie. Just stick with me. And so, for 20 grand, we made a movie called The Embalmers. We made it during lockdown.
Nice.
So during a pandemic. So damn it, we made a movie during a pandemic.
Can I ask, did you have a big cast for that or no?
Excuse me?
Was there a big cast for that film?
We had a fairly decent sized cast, but we were all very close knit. We really became like a family.
Well, we had to live and
we had to live and we lived in the house where we were shooting. So we had to be close knit.
I just didn't know how certain actors would respond within the last 2 years. Like I'm not one of them people. I don't run around with my head chopped off from the last 2 years, but I can't tell other people not to do that. Like and how to feel. Like you can, so like, yeah, like my film, I'm trying to make a sequel to The Dark Military Part 2. That has hundreds of people in it. And I have to literally rewrite that to trim that down. Because I just don't know if one person feels off or something or coughs the wrong way and everybody runs away and never comes back. So trying to really nail this down to.
And this was fairly early into the lockdown. It was actually, I think, during one of the points where it looked like things were going to get better. And so, but we also shot in early September, and the house had like an enormous yard and a big back porch and everything else. So we were able to spread out. So that really helped. Nobody got sick.
That's beautiful.
That was awesome. Mm-hmm. But right when we were done with The Embalmers, this one right here said, okay, so what's the next movie? And I'm like, like literally I just finished my last movie hours ago. And I said, well,
she so had her shit together that I assumed somebody was like, yeah, direct this shit for me.
Yeah. But anyway, I said, well, if I'm going to do a movie, I'm going to do a camp slasher. That's my thing. I'm an 80s slasher girl, Friday the 13th. I'm like, so I'm going to do something that I want to do. But the way that I had always wanted to do a slasher is I didn't want it to be dippy teenage kids on their daddy's dime, going spring break, blah, 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 getting into trouble. I wanted it to be adults, like people that had, I think I said, mortgages, beer bellies, kids, and problems. Like I wanted middle-aged people. And I had one other provision too, which I can't tell you because it's kind of a spoiler for Tin Roof.
Okay.
But I had two things to go with this camp slasher. And he said, well, I'm going to write it for you. I'm like, Okay. Well, we were probably 3 sheets to the wind and whatever. And like the next day, he's like, "What were those ideas that you had about movies?" And I was like, "I don't remember." And I'm like, "I'll tell you at 2 a.m. And sure enough, I woke up at 2 a.m. and I remembered. And so he came up here for about a month. I did all the editing on the Embalmers on one end of my kitchen table, and he wrote Tin Roof on the other end. And it was a very cool, organic type thing. We called it
the Bohemian Vacation.
Our Bohemian Vacation. We even bought berets. We were like, oh, we're just gonna sit here and write and make art for a month and not do anything else, like
I was all sullen in the corner smoking
cigarettes.
You had an assembly line because
drinking.
You definitely had an assembly line though, because you were ending the last film, and he was getting the next one ready at the other side of the table.
Yes. So it was a seamless transition. So that's where we're at now. We have Tin Roof written, and we were going to be filming it last fall here in Indiana, because that's where I am, which is definitely not exactly movie mecca.
I've driven through it a lot.
We're trying to make it. We're trying to get it there. But then this one landed a role in 1883, and that kind of messed that up. So we've pushed it now to this summer.
That's a good problem to be in 18.
It was a very good, good problem. But we couldn't say anything to the cast and crew either. So we were like, well, we got to move it. We just kind of said we had personal issues and whatever.
Made up some bullshit.
He's going to be like in Texas for 3 months. So
I'm so bad with TV shows. Like we're on the last season of Walking Dead, and that's the only thing I've watched consistently for the last 10 years. And Yellowstone, I kept right up. So I did not see 1883 yet, but it's on my list. But also it is being in this business, your time is pressed. You just don't get to sit down and watch things. But good score, my friend. I can already tell you, very good score, and that will only help your film.
It was very well written. I saved it. You get your sides for the day. This is what we're shooting today. You get them on your bench in the morning in your trailer. And like there was one, I'm pacing and reading outside because you got to get tested every day, and you can't be near anybody until you get your results. So I'm smoking a cigarette. Nobody comes near me anyway. And I'm reading. I'm just like, I just start tearing up because it was just so fucking well written. Taylor Sheridan is a badass writer, and he's a straight up dude. He's a cool motherfucker, man. With all the shit that he's got going on, I don't know if I could handle all that.
That's dude. I'm really happy for you with that one. I mean, I know they're talking about a third spinoff. I hope they don't. I think you're gonna oversaturate it, but I don't
know. Sam Elliott actually sounds like that, and Tim McGraw's got a hell of a spiral.
Yeah, who has a cooler voice than Sam Elliott? Maybe Morgan Freeman. They could rival, but I'm not forgetting better than that. They have the coolest voices.
I don't know.
James Earl Jones.
Oh gosh, curveball. Yeah,
Harry Thrust.
That's right. So, is there anything? I mean, I realize that you're still raising money for Tin Roof movie, but like, is there anything new you're trying to bring to the table? Because like I could say for someone who's been in independent film and loves horror movies, goes all the conventions, but I get annoyed at the mainstream a lot, and I think a lot of that has to do with that they're owned by major studios and they just don't know the horror movie audience. I think they just look at like, we're gonna make another Rocky. We're going to make another Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And, we got a hand in that Marvel movie. And you go write all three of them. And you just look at, like, just the premise of what the films are about. And they just come up with something. And you're just like, what was that?
Yeah. So, that's definitely where we are, where I am as a horror fan. So I am first and foremost a fan before filmmaker, actress, any of that stuff. And I want originality. And that was kind of the point, like I said, with having adults be the protagonist in a camp slasher. That was one of the things I wanted to do to kind of flip things over, kind of turn it on its head. I get sick of the sequels and that type of stuff. I won't say anything too bad about anything in particular, but I know that a lot of those movies get picked up because they have familiarity. Even
And
if
there's
it's a
no
movie,
marketing that they don't have to start with a brand new film, something that you would make or I would make, where you have to hammer money in the marketing. It's a risk.
right, just to get your name out there. Well, okay, for example, last year we had a really crappy movie called Spiral from the Book of Saw, which was just a cop drama with the Saw name slapped on it. And I am sick of those types of things. The Forever Purge was this kind of the same thing. Like, oh, well, what if every night of the year we just had violence? Well, then that's not the purge. That's just called anarchy, dude.
Yeah, that is.
You know, like you're just using what's already out there just to get your name out there. And right now, obviously, everybody's kind of struggling, just with the pandemic and theaters being closed. So I kind of give it a little bit of a free pass on that, but I personally want to see something different. I want to see something with heart. I want to see something where I actually care about the characters. It's another thing about modern horror.
Perfect wording what you just said right there, because I think that's the number one thing is, like, I loved when we were younger, like, I rooted for Tommy Jarvis. I rooted for Nancy in the Elm Street show. I rooted for Jamie Lloyd, the little girl. I'm like, I'm like, the people I'm seeing now, like the
I just don't even like
Massacre just came out. I couldn't get behind one of those characters. I was just like, yeah, you're dead. I didn't get a chance to really know you. You didn't grow on me at all.
We sat through that whole movie, and at the very end, when kind of shit's going down, I go, I don't even know either of the main girls' names.
They were Tegan and Sarah. That's all I thought about. I was just like, Tegan and Sarah running around, you know.
I was just like, yeah, I'm like, I don't even know their names. I don't care. I made an entire channel based on called Not Quite Final Girl, where I highlight girls from horror movies who didn't make it to final girl status, so they're a little, they're not as talked about as some of the final girls, like, because I realized I was making this backstory for these girls who are on like screen for like 10-15 minutes in like Friday the 13th movies or The Burning or, all these slashers. I'm like, I could tell you like, oh, this is what she's thinking right here. Like I had thought that much about it and I cared so much about those characters. And now it's like, yeah, they're all throwaway characters. And it's not that you hate them, because that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
When they make a person so unlikable that you just want them to die, and that's fine. But it's like they're just so two-dimensional. Just yeah, they're like, okay, so we've got millennial number 1 and millennial number 2 and blah blah blah. And yes, we want kills, that's what we want, but we want character development, and that's what we are bringing with Tin Roof. I mean, we worked so hard on the dialogue to make it natural.
We did table reads between the two of us. I took all the guys, she took all the girls, and we just boom 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 boom. Wait, that doesn't fucking sound right, do it again. Right. Yeah, all right, so we tweak it the whole damn way through the script so that it is conversational.
Good. And
it brings, we took a lot of ourselves and put a lot of ourselves into the dialogue. I mean, there's a character named Becca, and she's a smart ass. So there may be some similarities there.
Gotcha. But there's one thing I always notice in the last 10 years, especially, and I mean, it is the real world, what I'm about to say, but when you see characters on their cell phones that are not talking, you would say, well, that's everybody in real life. Everywhere you look, someone's doing something on a cell phone. But for a 90-minute movie, I need to learn that character. And if you have them just sitting there on a cell phone, not talking, if it's a horror movie and it comes checkout time, I don't know you, man.
That's dead space.
Yeah, it's dead space. Yes. Perfect wording.
That's just filler. And that's shit.
Yeah, it is.
We put, there's points. I see every scene in a film as a story arc within the larger story arc, and so if it doesn't make fucking sense to the story arc, doesn't push the story forward, it's not going to be in the script. So our script, there's points where it's bullshit, and it's not bullshit, it's just people talking, but then it's boom 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 boom. Like, I'll grab you by the fucking short and curlies at the beginning, hold on, and then yank them at the end. That's how I write.
So currently you're still fundraising for Tenru.
So we started, we were trying to do things a little differently. With the Embalmers, I did a lot of physical perks, and that sucks. I don't know if you've ever done Indiegogo fundraising, but trying to figure out what to send to different people. Go to the post office every day with boxes and boxes, getting people like saying, oh, this got crushed by the UPS or USPS, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't want to do physical perks. Now I've backed off on that a little bit. But to start with, I was like, okay, we want to do experience type things for our fundraising. So what we started with was a perk called the Happy Camper. Though I had a little bit higher price tag, but you get to go on set with us for a day, hang out for a day, stay the night. You're an executive producer. You get to pick the brains of the actors. And then we also had one that was speaking role. Same kind of thing. You could go hang out with us, pick the actors' brains. And so now we put up there all the things that people want, DVDs, Blu-rays, posters, all signed. But we're starting to get into kind of round 2. This is phase 2 of our Indiegogo. And we are putting some more experiential type things out there. So, for example, one thing that's coming up, Joe Castro is our FX
Great guy. I know
artist. He is amazing. Yeah, he's an amazing guy. So we're going to put a perk up there where you can get killed by Joe Castro. We also, one of the things that when you make a movie, and you know this, one of the things that will kill your budget fast is trying to feed everybody. The better you are to people, the more your movie costs.
Over $2,000 I put in for my Dark Military movie because only because I had 100 people the first day, and I really knew the days were going to be long, and so I catered to people's diets, if are they vegan or everything.
And that's exactly it. Like whenever you start breaking it down and you're like, well, I want to make sure there's water for everybody. I mean, when you start looking at your bottled water budget, it gets crazy. So
like 3 cases a day.
So one of the things that we're going to offer is kind of like a craft service type perk where you can sponsor a meal.
Okay.
If you're nearby, you can come eat with us. If you're not, we'll do a video chat with you while we eat and enjoy the meal that you've sponsored. And you can talk to Ellen Udy, you can talk to Rob, you can talk to me, you can talk to any of our actors, and sort of have that experience, that on-set experience. And so we are continuing to put those things out there. Yeah. And then today, because I've had so many people tell me that they want to support us, but they don't have any money right now. So there is a new perk as of today called the I'm waiting for my tax check, but I want to support you. Special thanks for so for $5, we will give you a shout out on social media, and we will give you special thanks in the end credits. Awesome. So we are all about, we know that not everybody has money, but we've had so many people over the last week start sharing our stuff out, helping us out. And it's awesome to see the support.
Are you close to your end goal?
No, we don't really even have an end goal, to be honest with you.
Okay, so you don't have an actual ceiling. It's just whatever, you'll fill it in as it goes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Shit, if we end up with $1 million, I'll be happy.
Yeah, well, yeah. If we end up,
I'll be happy for you.
Yeah, right. But we'll work with what we have. I learned how to do that with the Embalmers because we started the Embalmers Indiegogo campaign on March 13th, 2020. And we made, I think, $4,000 in the first 2 days. I mean, we had we were like out of the gate. We were off and running, blah, blah, blah. March 15th was the day that everything got shut down for COVID.
Yeah.
So we did not meet our goal for the Embalmers. We were lucky that we got it made, and I had to learn how to rub sticks and stones together. And that's kind of how I've been my whole life anyway. So, I'm just kind of trying to raise money, try to raise awareness, and hope that people want to see a different kind of film.
The one they've been asking for fucking years. I haven't been in the horror film genre as long as she has, but all I hear is every time like Halloween Kills comes out or TCM,
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Hollywood never has anything fucking new to say. You know, don't they see all these original scripts and well, we've got one.
Yep.
Yeah, so put your money where your mouth is,
Yep,
people. Come on. And this movie is only going to be as good as the budget. I mean, it's just the way independent filmmaking goes. And we are not in a position where we have access to producers, like, I mean, actual producers, people who can put up substantial amount of money. We are in Indiana. We do not have tax incentives. Unfortunately, it is going through our House and Senate again for like the 12th time. So people don't choose to film here anyway. So other productions don't ever come into Indiana. So those of us who are in Indiana, we are often lured to Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, because they all have tax incentives. And so with this one, we said no. We actually even had somebody from Illinois who was very much an asshole,
That guy,
trying to get us to move our production because he could get us all these tax incentives, whatever. We said no, because no one will ever make a movie in Indiana until we can show that a movie can be made in Indiana with cast and crew. So we are predominantly Indiana-based cast and crew.
It's funny because this dude didn't realize that he was emailing the Tin Roof account, which we both have access to, and he was so condescending. I straight up chewed his ass.
Yeah, we reported him to his organization as well. But but so we've hired mostly Indiana crew. A lot of our actors, if they're not Indiana, they're Kentucky, very, sort of localized. Yeah. So
that's great. And you were to say it a minute ago, like you don't have access to all the big producers, the big studios. Yeah, that's a disadvantage for you and I, but it's also an advantage that we don't have to answer to anybody like that. When, Rob just said, like, every time here comes Halloween Kills, everyone rolls their eyes. Those big studios, so as much as I complain about them, I understand that they don't want to try anything new, because what made these films famous was the same thing over and over again. So call me a hypocrite. Yeah, it's like, I want to see another Michael Myers, but I don't want to see that same old garbage. But we have the access to do that, and that's
right.
Right,
and that's
hard to raise the money for it. It is
the reason why I love indie horror is because the people can be like, you know what, screw it, this is my movie.
Yep.
Nobody else paid it. I'm the one who took out all the credit cards, and so I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it.
Yep.
With people who have passion, who will split a Little Caesars pizza amongst 6 people for dinner just to get a movie made, who will walk around in Kroger with blood all over them to go get a supply run. Like that's the kind of horror that I like to watch, where I know that kind of stuff goes on behind the scenes. Okay, so we
you're gonna like
we
this.
named our production company Subfolder Studios, and the reason is we have this we have an account, like a Gmail account, that we both have access to, and that's where we filter everything through. And we started getting people that were just like WTF people, like sending in auditions. There was one audition, I'm not going to say any specifics, but it was comically bad.
I copied and pasted from a Paramount film the instructions on how to audition.
And so,
complete with fucking pictures on how to frame it. And I mean, dude.
Right. So people would start doing just the craziest stuff, whatever. So we kind of started making we started kind of pushing them aside into a different folder. And then we had one person who claimed that, she does not audition, that she has only ever given roles, which I can say the same thing. I rarely audition. I mean, you saw how many credits I have on IMDb. A lot of those are somebody going, "Oh my God, will you be in my movie?" Yeah. Not me auditioning and going out trying to find it. So screw you, this girl. But so we made a subfolder that said, "I wish a bitch would," and we put her message right in there, and we're like, okay, because we responded and we waited and we had a couple interactions with her.
I was very professional.
Yeah.
Yes, we were very professional about it. And so that's where Subfolder Studios come from, because every time we would have another conversation with her, like another folder would get made, like really, bitch? Like,
And it wasn't just her. It was like tardy motherfuckers.
oh my God.
People that miss a deadline. I give you a page and a month to prepare for that. And you still send it in late.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap it up with this one piece of advice for anybody who is looking into getting into acting, or even if you just are looking for a job, I don't care where it's at. Follow the freaking instructions. Everything is a test. There's nothing that's put into anything on accident. People are looking. So if you can't follow the instructions on an audition or an application or whatever, the person who's trying to hire you will not be able to get you to do what they want you to do. And thus, they do not want to direct you. So, number one piece of advice, follow directions to a T. And that right there puts you like in the top, like 10% of everybody that auditions.
And I agree with that totally. I also back up to what Rob just said about, like he said, he gave people slides a month and then a month earlier and they didn't turn them in on time. Telling you, be one of the first ones there, be aggressive. That's always my advice. Because if you just
make the character believable, do your friggin' work.
Yeah.
But if you have it down so much that you can do 10 pages in a night.
Yep.
Right. So it's the people who are like, it's the day before the deadline. Oh my God, I had to take my
the
cat
late
to
stuff.
the vet, blah, blah, blah.
You showed me
Like,
you're
no,
late.
you
How do I know you're going to show up on my set on time?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's one thing if somebody just finds out about it and the deadline's tomorrow, whatever, fine. But if you've been sitting on this for 3 weeks, I don't care if your cat's sick or, your car broke down or whatever the hell's going on today because you had time. And again, I don't want to get this phone call the day before we shoot.
Yeah, that's the subfolders.
Sweet.
What was another one? I wish a bitch would. What the fuck? Is this motherfucker even serious?
Yeah, I mean,
something like that.
They were colorful. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I wrote most of them up. So
that's great. All right. Well, guess we'll get ready to end the show here. So feel free to plug away.
All right. Well, main thing is Tin Roof. So we have a Facebook group. It's Tin Roof Movie. You can find us there. You can find us on Instagram at Tin Roof Movie. Yep. Most importantly, you can find us at Indiegogo. Just search for Tin Roof and we come up.
Tin Roof Movie.
Yeah, and we come up and you can be part of the movie, help us make the magic happen. And you can also own the movie when it is eventually done.
Sweet. Well, Rob and Rebecca, I thank you so much for being a part of Average Superstar TV.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you for having us.
And I thank this audience for taking the time to listen to this show. Please give us a subscribe, like, and share on YouTube. We drop a new episode every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Also available on Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, and iHeartRadio.